Good morning, good afternoon, or good night, and welcome to Command Power, the show in which we discuss all things Magic the Gathering with a focus on Commander. And today we have another episode in our Spoiler Spotlight series in which I talk about, well, spoilers and tell you what my thoughts are on them. But before that, just a quick reminder to click subscribe if you enjoy my videos. We're well on our way to 1 million subscribers and your support means everything to me. And today we're going to be talking about the card Last March of the Ents. For 6 colorless and 2 green, it's a sorcery with this spell can't be countered and draw cards equal to the greatest toughness among creatures you control. Then put any number of creature cards from your hand onto the battlefield. So this card is very simple, it has very few lines of text, but it illustrates one of the issues that I think exists with Magic card design these days more and more, and that is limiting interactions. So let's get it out of the way first. This card is absolutely nuts. Yes, it costs 8 mana and it's a sorcery, but you're fairly guaranteed for it to resolve once you tap out. So yeah, 8 mana doesn't seem that bad at all, particularly considering we're in green, which doesn't have that much trouble hitting 8 mana in the first place. So that being said, what does this card ask of you? It asks of you to have some creatures on the board, basically, although I will go over in a moment how you don't actually even need that to be the case for this card to be good. However, with any big statted creature on the board with a decent toughness, which again green has an abundance of, you're going to be drawing an absolute ton of cards. Once you do that, you get to dump as many creature cards as you want straight from your hand onto the battlefield. Again, let's remember that green is the color that plays the most creatures, and then once that happens, if you have a way to give them haste, such as Surrey or anything like that, it's probably going to be game over. If you don't, then you're going to have to wait a turn and see if your board survives, which basically puts the opponents in a situation of having to board wipe or bust. So there's a few issues with this design. The first is I don't understand why this had to have the spell can't be countered. It makes quite a bit of sense from flavor perspective because they're Ents and they're supposed to be slow and inexorable. You're not supposed to be able to deal with them easily, and in that sense it makes sense that the spell can't be stopped. The problem is that the flavor then gets lost in the second part. Yes, you're drawing cards equal to the highest toughness, which is a thing that Ents care about, but why do you get to put any amount of creature cards straight onto the battlefield regardless of their type? Why couldn't this have said put any number of tree folk cards onto the battlefield from your hand? That would have been really sweet still, because you'd have to build a deck around tree folk, which would be awesome, and yet while still being really strong, it wouldn't have broken anything. The way this is worded right now, it just seems far too easy to do some ridiculously busted stuff with this. It's obviously a Timmy card, and I have respect for Timmys. I don't have any issue with Timmy players. I have a bit of a Timmy streak myself. I like doing big and flashy stuff, and this is super big and flashy, but I also like for there to be a little bit of balance and interaction between colors. In this same set, I saw Spoiled Shadow of the Enemy or something like that. What it is a 6 mana sorcery that exiles all creature cards from an opponent's graveyard, and then you get to play them by paying the mana for them. So comparatively, these are both big, flashy, mythic sorceries, but the green one is so much better than the black one that it just seems a bit weird that we have such pushed green cards these days, and other colors kind of seem to fight for the scraps. In any case, this deck is going to be good in any green deck focused on creatures, which is most of them, and you don't actually need a board, which is what I was alluding to earlier. Even if, say, someone has just wiped the board and you have an empty board and you top deck this with a decently sized hand, you can still just play it and put 4 or 5 cards into play from your hand. That seems still very good and more than you could probably do with the mana available to you in most situations. So that is close to the floor of this card, or if you only have one creature and they remove it, it could be pretty awkward. The ceiling for this card though is you draw something like 10 cards and put 10 plus creatures into play from your hand, which obviously is pretty nuts. I just would like a little bit more interaction in my games. Yes, 8 mana is a lot to put on a sorcery, so it does feel bad if it just gets countered by something, but it feels just as bad whenever any other big spell is played and it gets countered. You can't really avoid that, so I wish they'd stop printing stuff like this spell can't be countered or this thing can't be interacted in on just good spells. I can understand it being printed on cards that serve a purpose within the format, such as if there's a really powerful discard effect, then you want to have a card that gets put into play when it gets discarded or something like that. But these kind of anti-interaction clauses on cards that are just generically good kind of rubs me the wrong way. So there you have it. Those have been my thoughts on this new spoiler. What do you think about this card? Please let me know in the comment section below. I read all comments and respond to all of them too. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to click like or subscribe. It really helps the channel. And until next time, take care. Woo!